My name is Edgar Wolf, and I am 71 years old. What I'm about to tell you is the day a single sentence snapped the spine of my old life. I had my Navy suit laid out on the bed, freshly pressed, the silk pocket square Elise gave me on our 5th anniversary, tucked into the breast pocket. Elise has been gone 3 years now, but when I dress carefully, I still feel the echo of her fingertips smoothing my lapel. I was getting ready for my son's wedding. Not the ceremony, just dinner afterward. That was the plan Julian and his fiancée, Clara, had promised. I'd polished my shoes, knotted a Windsor with the kind of muscle memory you don't forget, and reached for the door when my phone buzzed. Clara's name. 5 words. Cold as a blade. We actually married yesterday. Only special people invited. Special people. The hallway tilted. I sat down on the bench where Elise used to leave notes for me and stared at those words until they blurred. For 3 years, I'd paid their rent. $550 a month. Automatic transfer. I'd covered groceries when their fridge was bare. Call it $180 a month. I bought the cream sofa in their living room. $1,900 on my card. There was $720 for a dental emergency, $2,400 toward a car down payment, $480 for a move, and too many small favors to count. I keep a little ledger. I opened it with hands that didn't tremble and did what engineers do when the world feels unsteady. I ran the numbers. $19,800 rent, plus $6,480 groceries, plus $1,900 sofa, plus $720 dental, plus $2,400 car, plus $480 move, plus $1,050 MISC, equals $32,830, quietly rerouted from a widower's retirement to prop up a couple who just announced I wasn't special. I loosened my tie. In the entryway mirror, a tired man looked back at me. Wrinkled, yes, but clear-eyed. And for the first time in years, he looked a little dangerous. I set the tie down, picked up my car keys, and drove to the bank. The branch manager, Mr. Klein, knows me by name. He stood when he saw me. Mr. Wolf, good morning. How can I help? I need to cancel every automatic transfer tied to my accounts, I said. And I want all third-party access revoked. Today, he didn't ask why. He printed forms. I signed. The last sheet slid from the printer with a faint click. Done, he said. Outside, winter sun sparked off the hood of my aging sedan. I didn't feel light exactly. I felt returned to myself. On the way home, I stopped at Summer Hardware, where the owner's son, Luke, installs security systems. New deadbolts, I said, and a full camera kit. Tomorrow morning, if you can swing it. Tomorrow morning, Luke promised. That afternoon, my doorbell rang. Through the window, I saw Julian, Clara, and a gray-suited man with a leather portfolio. My heart stuttered, then steadied. The new lock turned smoothly under my hand. I opened the door, but did not step aside. Dad, Julian said, with the rehearsed gentleness of a flight attendant before turbulence. We were worried. You weren't answering. Clara's smile was powdered sugar over steel. Edgar, this is Mr. Carlyle, a family attorney. Just to help, with paperwork that can feel overwhelming. Mr. Carlyle extended a hand. I looked at it and did not shake. Behind him, I could see the sofa I bought reflected in his shiny car window. My stomach turned. Paperwork like what? I asked. A simple power of attorney, he said smoothly. Temporary, for your protection. We've seen some unusual banking activity. I canceled the transfers, I said. That's the unusual activity. Clara stepped forward, voice softening as if I were a skittish horse. You've been very confused lately, Edgar. The locks, the cameras, the isolation. At your age, at my age, I've learned the difference between lonely and unsafe, I said. No one touches my papers. No one gets my signature. You have 3 minutes to leave. Julian's eyes flicked to the floor. When he was 7 and terrified of getting a filling, he'd looked at the same spot and asked who would pay for it. He had my eyelashes. He no longer had my trust. Dad, he said, jaw tightening, we can go to court. If you won't let us help, a judge can. Then go, I said, but bring your own money. The bank of Dad is closed. They left in a gust of expensive perfume and cold air. When the door clicked shut, I stood there with my hand on the wood and let the shaking happen. Not from fear, from relief. Boundaries look like fences from the outside. From the inside, they feel like a spine. The next morning, Luke installed the cameras. Before he left, he synced them to my phone. You'll get an alert if anyone approaches your doors, he said, and it records everything. Everything? I asked. Everything. I went to my study, pulled out Elise's old file boxes, and made an appointment with an elder law attorney, Naomi Hale, a woman I'd met years ago when Elise and I updated our wills. In her office, sunlight pooled on leather chairs like warmed honey. She listened without interrupting. When I finished, she said, Mr. Wolf, this has a name, elder financial abuse. And it is a crime. We built a plan in 3 neat phases. Naomi is a planner the way I am an engineer. Phase 1, secure. Locks changed, accounts moved, credit freezes set, all authorized users removed. Phase 2, document. Every transfer I'd made, every invoice I'd paid, every lie I could prove. Phase 3, prepare. Neuropsych evaluation by a court-respected doctor. Letters from my banker, my doctor, my neighbors. We weren't going on the offensive. We were going on the record. By lunch, my phone was a hive. Missed calls from Julian. Then a text. Dad, can we just talk? Clara messed up with the wedding. We want to make it right. Dinner tonight? I typed and erased. Then I wrote, I help special people now. I set the phone face down and took myself to lunch. Not to the cheap diner near my house. To the nice place Elise loved, with tablecloths and lemon wedges in the water. I ordered the halibut and didn't look at the price. A small thing, a necessary thing. On my way home, a woman waved from the sidewalk between our houses. Nora Ellison, my neighbor, gardening hat tipped back on silver hair. We'd traded pleasantries for years, nothing more. Mr. Wolf, she said, eyes kind and curious. Forgive me, but I heard raised voices yesterday. Are you all right? For reasons I can't explain, I told her the truth. She listened, hands folded over her apron, nodding at the parts that stung the most. My daughter did this 5 years ago, Nora said softly when I finished. Not the wedding part. Everything else. Money masquerading as love. I stopped it. She hated me for 6 months. Then she got a job. Now we see each other on Sundays, and she hugs me because she wants to, not because my check cleared. She smiled. If you need friends who won't ask you for rent, I host a garden club. We eat cake and talk about iris bulbs and boundaries, boundaries, and cake. I promised I'd come. That night, watching snow sift down past the porch light, my camera pinged. The system labeled the clip front door, 8:13 p.m. I tapped. Julian's voice came through the speaker, low and tense. He changed the locks. Clara answered, colder than the snow. Then we changed tactics. We'll file. He's installing cameras, canceling transfers. By next week, anyone will say he's paranoid. We'll ask for a conservatorship. It's the only way to protect the family. Protect the family. I let the irony pass through me like a wave. Then I saved the clip twice. Once to the cloud. Once to an external drive I labeled truth in thick black marker. 2 days later, there was a knock at my door. A young woman in a neat coat, badge on a lanyard. Good morning, Mr. Wolf. I'm Angela Morris with Senior Services. We received a report that you may be at risk. Could I come in for a brief wellness check? Clara's work, no doubt. I smiled pleasantly. Of course. One moment I called Naomi. She arrived in 20 minutes and handed Ms. Morris a business card. The questions were predictable. Do you pay your bills? Do you cook? Do you have friends? Any memory issues? Medications? I showed her my calendar app, my grocery receipts, my passport stamps from a train trip Elise and I took the year before she got sick. My life, not a case file. I asked if she would like tea. She said yes. When she stood to go, she looked almost embarrassed. Miss Wolf, she said, I can close this out as no concerns. If anything changes, call me, not your son. Thank you, I said. I'll call you if I ever decide to start collecting sons. When the door closed, Naomi exhaled. They will escalate, she said. People who feel entitled don't retreat. They reload. How high can they escalate? I asked. Court, she said. Guardianship. It's hard to win without real proof. It's devastating even to try. I took a long breath and nodded. Then we build the proof. We did. I saw Dr. Evelyn Moore, who ran me through memory tests, logic puzzles, financial judgment scenarios. She smiled at the end. Mr. Wolf, if I gave these to my students, half would ask for extra credit. You're sound. Mr. Klein wrote a letter. No unusual withdrawals initiated by Mr. Wolf, pattern consistent with responsible account management. My GP added a note. No cognitive or psychiatric concerns. Nora wrote a statement. Mr. Wolf is oriented, steady, and capable. He knows the Latin names of 3 perennials I can't keep alive. Luke from the hardware store added a simple affidavit. Mr. Wolf requested cameras after boundary violations by family members. Bless Luke. I slept at last, deep and dreamless. Then the petition arrived. In the matter of Edgar Wolf, filed by Julian Wolf and Clara Pike. Relief sought. Appointment of a guardian, conservator. Allegations, rapid cognitive decline, financial recklessness, susceptibility to undue influence. Attached. Declarations from Mr. Davis, a neighbor across the street who hates when anyone parks near his mailbox. Dr. Randall Larkin, a psychologist who, according to the fine print, had never met me. And a letter signed by pharmacist M. Patel that said my medication adherence appears irregular. I don't take any medication. My multivitamin and an occasional aspirin hardly compose a psychiatric profile. Naomi and I paid Ms. Patel a visit. She looked stricken. Mrs. Pike said she was updating insurance, she said. She asked me to sign a note confirming you don't pick up prescriptions regularly. I didn't realize how she'd frame it. Would you be willing to correct the record? Naomi asked. Miss Patel nodded vigorously. Immediately. We knocked on Mr. Davis's door next. He told us he'd seen strangers at my house and heard yelling in the street. The strangers were garden club ladies with lemon bars, and the yelling was me telling Clara not to rifle through my files. He also complained about my paranoid cameras. Naomi thanked him for his time. On the sidewalk, she whispered, "The best witness for the other side is often the other side." We filed our responses, our letters, our evaluation, our video clips. I ironed my suit. The court date came like a train you can hear miles away and still flinch when it passes. The courtroom smelled faintly of old wood and toner. Judge Harper sat high and watchful. Julian and Clara arrived early, dressed as if for a glossy magazine. Grief-adjacent black for her, a new suit for him. Their lawyer, Mr. Carlyle, of course, rose first. "Your Honor," he said, voice oiled and persuasive, "this is a case of a beloved parent in decline. Mr. Wolfe has abruptly severed necessary financial support, installed unnecessary surveillance, and isolated himself under the influence of—" he glanced at me with gentle contempt, "neighbors. The family seeks only to ensure his safety." He called his witnesses. Mr. Davis opined about my strange new habits. Dr. Larkin testified that my refusal to meet with him was concerning for paranoia. Clara spoke last, and she cried beautifully. "Edgar has always been like a second father to me," she said. Tears trembling at the edge of lashes I suspect cost more than my winter coat. Watching him slip away has been heartbreaking. Naomi rose. She doesn't do theatrics. She does foundations. "Dr. Larkin," she asked mildly, "how long did you evaluate Mr. Wolfe?" "I requested an appointment," he said. "So, 0 minutes, Naomi said. "Thank you." She called Dr. Moore, who spoke soberly about my exams. She called Mr. Klein, who doesn't like courtrooms but likes the truth. She called Miss Patel, who explained exactly how her letter got twisted. She called Angela Morris, who stated for the record she'd closed the welfare check with no concerns. She called Nora, who looked directly at the judge and said, "Edgar is not confused. He is careful. He is alone, which is different." Then Naomi said, "Your Honor, we have one more piece of evidence." She played the camera clip. Julian's voice first. "He changed the locks." Clara's voice next, crisp as frost. "Then we changed tactics. We'll file. We'll ask for a conservatorship. It's the only way to protect the family." Silence spread through the courtroom like ink in water. Clara looked down. Julian looked at me for the first time that day. For a second, beneath the panic, I saw my boy. I looked away. Naomi finished simply. "Mr. Wolfe didn't change. His boundaries did. This petition isn't about protection. It's about access." Judge Harper removed her glasses and set them carefully on the bench. "I have reviewed the filings and listened to the testimony," she said. "Here is what I find. Mr. Wolfe is competent, medically, financially, and practically. His choices may be inconvenient for his adult son, but they are his choices to make. The court denies the petition for guardianship and conservatorship. She wasn't done. Furthermore, given the evidence of misrepresentation to third parties and attempts to obtain legal control without cause, the court issues a protective order. No uninvited visits, no contact outside counsel, no access to Mr. Wolf's property or finances. Any welfare concerns shall be directed to senior services. Her gavel was a small sound. It felt like thunder. Outside the courtroom, Clara walked fast, heels snapping like spite. Julian lagged. He opened his mouth, closed it. The words he finally chose were the wrong ones. "This will end badly for you," he said. "You'll be alone." "I already am," I said quietly. "Now I'm alone on my terms." He looked like a man who had just watched a bridge he'd been crossing his whole life retract into the fog. Life after war is not quiet at first. It shuffles and rearranges itself, learning to fill the space where a fight used to be. I sold the big house with the echoing stairs and bought a sunlit apartment near the museum. I kept Elise's file boxes and her teacups and the photograph where Julian is 5 and smudged with blueberry pie. I gave away the sofa I'd bought for him. Let someone else fall asleep on that lie. I joined Nora's garden club. We talked about iris bulbs and boundaries and aged Gouda. We said hard things out loud and passed the lemon bars. I took a watercolor class and painted the creek near our building, a thin blue vein under snow. I started walking every morning before the cafes crowded, just me and the city waking up together. I made a habit of buying myself flowers on Thursdays. Elise would have liked that. Julian and Clara never called, not directly. Through friends, I heard they'd moved to a smaller place and, miracle of miracles, found work that actually paid them. Perhaps scarcity can be kinder than indulgence when it teaches what indulgence never does. On a mild spring afternoon, I drove to the cemetery and sat by Elise. "I nearly lost myself," I told her. "I thought love meant saying yes until I dissolved. I was wrong. Love, it turns out, needs a spine." The wind ran careful fingers through the birch leaves. I stayed until the light turned honey and the groundskeeper waved kindly from the gate. If you've read this far, you may expect a tidy bow, a prodigal son returning, a teary reconciliation. Life is rarely tidy. Here is what I have instead. A small apartment that is exactly enough. A circle of women who teach me both Latin plant names and how to say no without apologizing. A bank account that breathes, a mind that is still mine. Peace is not loud. It arrives like a good coat, quiet, exactly your size, warmer than you thought possible. If this story found you because someone is treating your kindness like an ATM, hear me. You get to stop. You are not a villain for closing the tap. You are a person. People deserve love that isn't itemized. My name is Edgar, and I am 71 years old. I learned too late that special people sometimes means people who take. So now I use those words differently. I save my help, my time, my money, and yes, my heart, for special people. The ones who show up empty-handed and leave me fuller than they found me. Did my story resonate with you? Tell me where you're listening from and what you would have done in my place. I read every comment. If it helped, consider tapping the super thanks so I can keep bringing you true, hard-won stories. And if you want more like this, there are 2 waiting for you on screen. Don't forget to subscribe. See you in the next life story.